Hello, and thanks for joining me. Welcome to The Spark, where everyday people share their source of inspiration and motivation with you to ignite positivity and energy when you need a little spark. Today, welcome Kevin Hoover. Kevin is a business coach and real estate agent in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We originally met through a mutual friend of ours, Hank Avik. He's also at EXP like I am. We're both in the National Coaching League, and I would consider him a part of my tribe. Hey, Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Amy B. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit about the Spark that you want to share with everybody today.
Oh, the Spark, it's a commencement speech by Jim Carrey, and it was the first time I was really introduced to a different side of him at Maharishi University in 2014. He addressed the graduating class and just did it in such a fantastic way that resonated with me, it spoke with me. And was a little bit funny, but he was a lot serious, and it was just like shooting darts right into my soul. I was like, I need to hear this, and it found me at the right time.
Wonderful. It was the full video, I think, is 26 minutes, and he's an amazing storyteller.
He is. He is, and I think pieces like that, when you talk, I love what you're doing with the Spark. And I think when you talk about the Spark, I think they find you at the right time. And this Spark found me. It was really weird timing. I was doing a job I didn't like. I'll give you the long version of a short story. I was a video producer, and I got off, and I was doing it on my own DIY. So I had my own company, and I was expecting, my first son or my first child, and so the responsibility was coming in. And so then I got offered a job from another company, full benefits, salary, the whole nine, doing video. And I took it. And that just seemed to be the responsible thing to do at the time. And then the December before my son was born in February, I got fired from that job a week before Christmas. So, about to be a dad, just came crashing in. And I saw this talk sometime around there. And one of the things that Jim Carrey says in that talk is our fear is disguised as practicality. And for me, that moment in time just hit home. And he also says, you can fail at something you don't like, so you might as well go do something you love. And I'm getting a little emotional just thinking about it. But at that point in time, I felt like such a failure in business and such a failure as about to be father and husband and everything. And he grabbed me and picked me up off the ground and sent me out to the world. And that was soon after that I started my real estate company and coaching business.
Awesome. I have goosebumps too, because you picked the exact same quote that I picked.
Oh, did I?
You're going to fail. You can fail at things that are safe.
Yeah.
So if you can fail at something that's safe, you might as well take your chances and see if you fail at something that you love, because that could be even better. Right?
Absolutely.
And he talks about kindness and focusing on love and just having that full feeling of everything inside. And as he's setting these people off for their life to begin and, jobs and all of that. How did you specifically discover this Spark? Where did you find it? How did you connect with it?
Oh, good question. I'm not sure how I found it, but once I found it, I held on to it. It was around that time that I had been let go from my job before the holidays, and I was really just searching. I was feeling a little beat up, and so I was watching a ton of things, just trying to find something, anything, give me something to grasp onto, to kind of make sense to me and kind of speak to me and kind of give me a little boost, because my wife was super supportive. She was just really figure it out, Kev, figure it out. She was great, fantastic. But I needed something on my own. And so I was obviously, where do you go when you need to find something? You go to YouTube. So I think I found it on YouTube, and I probably watched it, and I'm not even exaggerating. I probably watched it 100 times within about a 6-day period. And sometimes
in November?
Yeah. Like when I first found it, I probably watched it a lot, and it just kept coming back. And now I've toned it down a little bit. I watch it about once every 1 week or so. But that's kind of how I stumbled on it. And I think, I think these things find you, and it found me at the right time. It was probably close to a year old when I actually discovered it. So it wasn't a new it was always there. I just never seen it. It was really interesting.
Yeah, it looks like it was recorded in May or something of 2014.
Yeah, I think so.
And that was one of my questions for you. You know, how often do you consume this? You know, what's your rate of consumption on the Spark? Do you think that you resonate with the video because you're a video guy?
I think it's a combination. One, I think Jim Carrey is just an incredible storyteller, and I think if you have to set up a commencement speech that he would do, he nailed it. He just completely nailed it. And I didn't know a lot about him when I first saw it, but now he piqued my interest a little bit. So I think he just nailed the message. I think the video of it, of course, you know, it was delivered in a format that I was familiar with, but I really think what he was saying kind of hit me, you know, talked about failure and talked about, you know, decisions are made of either love or fear. And I was making a lot of decisions at that time out of fear. And when he said that, it just made sense. I was like, you know, I don't love this. I don't. And so I think it was an emotional time for me. It was an emotional time for my family. And I think he honed right in that message and got me and kept me, which was even harder to do.
Well, he got you 100 times in a six-day period, right?
Yeah. It was almost borderline obsessive.
That's okay. Everybody has their thing, right?
Yeah.
So Jim Carrey actually has a lot of really great messages, content, art. He's the one that famously wrote himself $1 million check and said he was going to cash it.
Yeah, he kept in his wallet for I don't know, 5 years, something like that. And,
yeah,
it's crazy that his whole thing, and that was part of the spark as well. He said, you know, I'm living proof. You can ask the universe for it. You know, whatever it is you believe. He said, so go do that, and if you just do it long enough and do it hard enough and put a lot of action behind it, then you know there's a good chance it'll happen. And it was just that moment, and it continues to be redefined for my life too as I go through different phases in business. That I go back to that, and it's applicable throughout the timeline. It's really impressive, it really is.
One on the spot kind of question for you: what is it that you do when you're needing some good positive energy, some inspiration, some motivation besides watch this video? Is there any practical advice that you could give our listeners?
Yeah, I have a couple things that my go-tos, and I believe that, you know, when you need that, it's a situation of overwhelm, or you're thinking too much, or there's something going on that's just got you disconnected from your center. And I'm a musician, I was in a former life, so normally I pick up my guitar, I turn everything off, and I just start playing. And I'm not concerned with perfect. I'm not concerned with getting the right notes. I sing really loud and off key, but I just let that go. And going to something like that is just a release in some constructive way. For me, typically when I put it down, if it's an hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is, when I put it down, I come back and the problems that I was facing don't seem as big. And it seems like, okay, you got this, you know. And I think just connecting with your center a little bit, getting back to your purpose and why you're here, and getting into something that is actually fun and makes you smile and makes your brain kind of charge up and get happy again. Anything like that, I think, is helpful. It could be a walk, it could be a swim, a bike ride, you know. But for me, I have a guitar in my office, so normally if I get to that point, I shut everything off, grab the guitar, and just let it flow for a little bit. And then when it's done, I put it up and I go back to it. It's been really useful.
Awesome. It's great to have an easy outlet like that you can just take a mental recess, if you will.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So thank you for sharing your spark. Really appreciate your message. Wanted to ask you, what are you up to right now? What are you proud of right now? What are you doing that's exciting that we should share with our listeners and everybody watching today?
Oh, well, first of all, thanks for that opportunity, because that's excellent. Sure. You know, it goes back to this. You know, I decided to start a coaching practice because I genuinely love coaching. I genuinely love helping people. And the more I do it, the more I love it. And so what I'm really excited about now is I'm starting to deliver training sessions digitally. I'm starting to do group work. I'm starting to continue the one-on-one coaching, and I'm seeing growth in other people, and it just charges me up, and it just makes me want to do more and more of it. And so that's really what I'm excited about, is continuing growing my coaching business. But I just launched a DIY video class digitally so that folks can kind of learn on their pace, because I think that's important in the balancing family and kids and everything like that, not having to commit to a time. You can learn the skills you need at a certain time. So I'm pumped about that, and I'm excited to get that going. Very
cool. So how would somebody connect with you or get information?
My website's a good way. kevinhoover.org is a good way. Facebook, of course, on Instagram, LinkedIn, the usual. But probably Facebook or my website would be your best bet.
Wonderful. Well, we will put that information in there. And thank you again for taking the time to share your spark.
Thank you.
And, just to be so transparent about things that were happening to you and how you were able to create some inspiration and motivation to keep pushing forward. I didn't know you before. I know you now. I would have to say you found your thing. You're in your groove, and everything happens for a reason. And I'm really glad to know you, and I'm really glad to be on this journey with you and to be able to experiment in life with you. So thank you so much for coming.
Likewise. Thank you, Amy. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.